Hey everybody, welcome back to Paranormal Triage. Hi all the ghosties out there. Um, you normally don't see all three of us all together unless we're an investigation. We kind of don't do videos like this very often, but we wanted to do a special video to bring us all together and talk about some special stuff. And we've got a friend of ours who's going to come on and talk with us today about some of those special events coming up. I wanted to introduce our friend here, Henry San Miguel. How you doing?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. Nice to see you. Usually when we talk, it's on the phone or never like this. We can't see ourselves, but nice to see all of you.
Yeah, and we're kind of far away, right? So we're in Northern California, you're in Southern California, and you've got this thing going on that we're gonna be part of, called the OC Paracon down there. And it'll be the first time we've ever been down to do any of your OC Paracon. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Orange County Paracon is we brand it as the Orange County's only paranormal conference because it is. I mean, I looked into it and there's very few. We have everything over here, as you can imagine. We have film festivals, we have Disneyland, we have Midsummer Scream, all kinds of things. But we don't have paranormal conferences, paracons. We have horror film festivals, but it's not the same. So when I moved here, I used to live up in the San Francisco Bay Area, but when I moved here in 2019, I said, well, why not me? Let me do the first one. So I did it, only it didn't happen because 2020 had other plans, like what happened to all of us. So finally, it did happen, and this is going to be the fourth one, and it's basically an extension of what you hear on my show on Paranormal Perception. On Paranormal Perception, I always say I'm not an investigator, not like you guys. I just am. I just talk on these things on microphones, and I give you guys, people like you and other people that research other things in the paranormal, the platform to talk about it. So I extended it to in person, and that's what basically what OC Paracon is this year. As you'll see, in anybody that's going, you probably know the lineup already. You'll see there's a lot of paranormal teams this year, and that's a good thing because yes, they all do the same thing. They all investigate, but what's different is sometimes the method, but especially, and that's the case with you guys, a paranormal triage, it's the reason why. The reason why you do this. And we'll hear about that at OC Paracon. Plus, we have some other people also that don't investigate; they do different things. But that's basically what OC Paracon is. It's just a fun weekend for fun and informative. Because yeah, everybody has fun. You get to meet other paranormal enthusiasts, but it's also you get to learn a lot of new things. Never fails. Every OC Paracon, the attendees come up to me and I always get, I didn't know this was even a thing. So thank you for having this guest or doing this event. So that's basically what OC Paracon is.
All right, and we're really excited to be part of it, but we had a couple of questions for you to kind of lead into why OC Paracon became a thing. How did you kind of get your start in all of this paranormal world?
That was with ghosts actually. When I was 4 years old, back in San Francisco, like I said, the house that I grew up in. I didn't know it at the time, but that was about to start my my stay in what I call the haunted mansion at this point. Not like the one in Disneyland. This had real ghosts. It was very, very, very active. I didn't know my whole life there until we sold it. Before we moved up here, we found out that through a couple of psychic mediums actually that went there. We went through the entire property. Come to find out, the reason why there are so many things there's a portal still there. They never closed it. There's a portal in the hallway, and so that explains why I saw people coming out of my closet. Why would everyone, not just me, but everybody that would visit, people that live there, all of us, we would hear things, see things. So I always say when people have their first experience, and I think you three know this, when people have their first experience, or even if they think they saw something, they heard something, two things will happen. Either they want nothing to do with it, they'll run away, close themselves out to it, or like us, we want
Yeah,
to know more. We
exactly.
run to the danger, if you will. You two especially understand that as first responders, you run to the danger. Just like first responders always say, it takes a special person to run to the danger, to go help somebody when they're really hurt. Uh, we can say we'd like to help people, but when we It's morbid, but that's why people like to stare at accidents because we want to see it. Is
Hmm.
somebody mangled? You guys actually see not only see it, but you have to help them and you have to stay calm. So uh, that's part of the reason why why I liked what you guys are about and what I want you guys to talk about a lot with at your panel at OC Paracon. But with me, that's what happened. Back then, show my age here. Back then, there was no internet. There was no TV. There were no TV shows. Not like
Right.
Ghost Adventures or those kind of shows. There was none of that. All we had, I think, was In Search of, or Believe It or Not,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
or in
Yeah.
Halloween. Even in Halloween, it wasn't serious paranormal shows. It was just oh, witches, ghosts, boo,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
the only resource I had at the time was books, encyclopedias, in libraries. So I read up on everything I could find on ghosts, and it wasn't until later, and we'll talk about that later if you want to, when I got into radio, that the next chapter in my paranormal journey began. But that's how I got my interest. That's how my interest began with literally ghosts, seeing ghosts coming out of my closet when I was 4 years old.
Wow. And I think a lot of people would like to know, how do you pick your guests for the Paracons, and what's your favorite, I guess, genre of paranormal? Because I know you do Geek Speak and you do the paranormal perception, but specifically to the Paracon, how do you pick your guest, and what is your favorite
For
genre as
well,
far
for
as
the
like psychics investigating?
Yeah. For the OC Paracon speakers, it's really what makes it's I don't bring them in because if all of you that have been there, you notice I've never had Zach Bagans or or any of the big names that are on TV. I never have them because quite honestly I've said it many times on the show, they really don't add anything to the paranormal. They really don't teach anything other than look at my show, watch my show. This is my show. This is what we did. Me. All of the guests that I have had at OC Paracon throughout the years, going on the fourth one now, the panels are very interactive. In other words, like for example, Patty Negri, you see her a lot on Ghost
Uh,
Adventures. All of her panels that she's done at OC Paracon, she'll mention it obviously because how can you not mention what she's done? But she doesn't talk about Zach or Ghost Adventures or what she's done. For example, her panel last year was about using your psychic intuition in an investigation. How when you get that feeling, and we all gone on investigations, we get that
Hmm.
feeling, or I get a bad feeling about this, or something doesn't feel right, or something feels positive. Her panel was all about how to trust those feelings, how to go with those feelings, and add that as a tool. So again, not even about ghost adventures or anything. So those are the kind of speakers that I bring on to OC Paracon. Again, an extension of paranormal perception. It's speakers that because when I started doing OC Paracon, I thought back to what I just told you, 4 year old me, who I didn't have resources back then. I couldn't ask my parents because they didn't believe in this stuff. No one in my family believed in this. In school, I couldn't bring it up because I was already the weird kid as it was. I'm the one that liked Marvel comics and Star Wars and all of that. All they cared about was football and the 49ers because they were winning Super Bowls back then. And I was like the one weird kid who read comic books and wanted to watch scary movies and like don't play with him. So I didn't even have anybody to talk to. So I remember that. And like I said, if someone has had their first experience, they think they live in a haunted house. They think they hear things, or the first thought, and it's not funny because a lot of people that I meet, they tell me, I said they thought I was crazy. I've heard people
Yeah.
say that I thought I was crazy,
Hmm.
and meeting people like us that have had, not only do we have experiences, but like I said, we run to it, we research. It's our careers are based around what's supposed to be spooky, and we make it not spooky. We make it like you guys.
Yeah.
Your journey is more on not just the REM pods and the equipment. You have it, but it's more you want to know what on the spiritual side, what's there, is what's there on the other side. Why are these people here? Why are these spirits still here? So when they hear that from all the speakers, that's what I want them to. Number one, I want them to feel, or no, you're not crazy. You are seeing things, you are hearing things, and yes, it is normal. I know we call it paranormal, but it is normal.
Yeah.
It is part
Yeah,
of our world, even though it's theatrical, but it is part of our world, and we have to live with that. So we should learn how to get along with them, especially if you think you live in a haunted house. So
right,
that's how I
right.
picked the speakers for OC Paracon. As far as what genre, well, I've always said horror and paranormal are two different things. A lot of people, Rick McCullum, who was one of the guests at the first OC Paracon, he's an investigator. He's also a stuntman. He works in Hollywood movies as a stuntman. He disagrees. We talked about this on Paranormal Perception and at OC Paracon. He thinks there's a lot of crossover. There's a little bit, but not a lot. I've always and I explained to him, but I always explain it as um, the difference between the two audiences is, let's take the Nightmare movies, Nightmare on Elm Street. The horror crowd, they just want Freddy to jump out and they want the jump scares and they want to see him kill
Right.
people. That's what they want to see. The paranormal people, we want to understand Freddy. What made him Freddy? Why does he do this? That
Right.
so that's the difference between horror fans and paranormal people.
Right.
Paranormal people, they like horror films every now and then, but they prefer the what to the horror fans would be boring, the like Ghost Adventure, the shows that are on TV, because nobody's getting killed, nobody's doing any of that stuff. So there is a difference. Now, as far as for me, um, ironically, what that year when I was 4 was a very life changing year for me. I don't remember. I always say I don't remember anything before the age of 4, but earlier that year was when I was 4 is when I got the experience, when I saw this and I started to read and all that. Then later that summer, I got this little movie that some people may have heard of. It was called Star Wars. That changed my life also, because I used to like Marvel comics and sci-fi and all this stuff, and then came this movie where there's robots and spaceships, and that changed my world. Then a few years later came another movie called Poltergeist, which was a scary movie, but I liked it because a lot of the things that were happening, other than being taken into TV, they were happening in my house. I was hearing voices, things were moving on their own, toys were moving on their own, and I was like, hey, that's like my house. So I like Poltergeist. Then a few years after that came Ghostbusters. So what I'm saying is, I do enjoy the horror movies. I mean, when growing up, as you can tell, I grew up when Freddy and Jason and all these iconic monsters now, when they were a new thing. After the 20th Friday the 13th, kind of knew it was coming, so I got a little bit bored of those. I do enjoy the new what they call the elevated horror, like Get Out and the Conjuring films and those kind of movies. I do enjoy those. If I want, like for October, Halloween, if I want something fun and spooky, that's usually what I turn to. But for Paranormal Perception and for me myself, I'll use another Ghostbusters reference. I always call myself the Egon of the paranormal, because I prefer the scientific side rather than the, oh my gosh, what is that? Look, the light's going off. I'm not Ray. I'm the Egon of the, the paranormal. That's the part that I like, the research and the scientific side of the paranormal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you touched on that, because there's so many people with content out there with, like, for example, REM pod, like you mentioned, that will go off and it's more of that like jump scare. Oh, that's okay, there's
Yeah.
something happening. But to people that are really into the paranormal, yeah, we use those, and those are tools just to kind of help us find stuff, and then we dig deeper into why is it there, what was causing it, and all that stuff. So yeah, that I like how you explain that a lot.
Yeah.
Um, so talking about the OC Paracon, you obviously put a lot of yourself and heart and soul into developing this for everybody, and it's got to be a big undertaking and pretty stressful, but it's also got to be some really good about it. So what is kind of like your favorite part about putting together this event?
That's easy. It's meeting not the speakers, because we're talking here, but we talk, we email. Same thing with all the speakers. They're friends. I know them, but it's meeting the attendees, people that especially the one I see a lot of repeats. I see the ticket sales. There's a lot of repeat attendees that have been at past OC Paracons, and they're friends now. But I love meeting new people, and especially not just meeting them, but especially hearing and letting them share their story. Like I said earlier, because a lot of them, that's all they need. They just want an ear. They just want to know, like I said, they just want to know am I crazy? I thought I saw my grandma. I thought I heard this or saw this. No, you're not. And I love hearing that. I let them share their stories. Part of the reason why we do one of the panels, we'll probably talk about that in a second. The last panel that we finish is we're recording the Paranormal Perception Halloween episode live because it's all ghost stories. People love sharing ghost stories on Halloween, so that's what we'll do. But that's my favorite part from the very beginning. Yes, it's hard work, and it honestly it's all year long. It's not just we don't start putting it together a few weeks before October. Is
Mhm.
I'll give you this right now. I'm not sure whenever you guys are watching it, but right now we're already planning next year's OC Paracon. That's how long. That's how early we start planning the next OC Paracon. Yeah, it's hard. It's rewarding at the end, but to me, the fun part is, like I said, the day of the OC Paracon, meeting the attendees, hearing their story, why they're there. Like you asked me, what got you into the paranormal? What because not everybody, believe it or not, not everybody is into ghosts. There's some people that are there because they had a UFO experience. They saw a UFO.
Right.
They had an
Mhm.
abduction experience. So some think they're psychically gifted. Some are into astrology or numerology or something else. It's not all ghosts. Just the majority of it. People like ghosts, but some people like UFOs and other things, and we have some of that there also. So, like I said, I love meeting the attendees, the people, hearing their stories and letting them share their stories. That's my favorite part of OC Paracon.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I get, because I do hair on in my real job, and then I get kind of like I don't want to tell people what I do because I don't want them to freak out and think that we're these devil worshiping people.
Yeah.
It's amazing once you kind of open that door a little bit, they start telling you stories that they probably would have never told before. One example is Ryan's dad. You would never think that
Oh yeah.
he was even into that stuff or even want to talk about it, thought we were crazy for doing this, but he actually opened up and shared some of his own stories and we were shocked.
Yeah.
So it is exciting to meet those people and get them to share their stories. And yeah,
I wish my dad was alive still so I could talk to him about
yeah.
what went down at his house. But
So kind of it opens up the door for other people to share the stuff
Well,
that
wait,
they're
Kelly,
scared to
who
share.
who
yeah,
says you can't? You still can, go to Patty Say
oh,
on
that's
or
true.
something. Yeah,
Yeah,
And
boy.
I'm really glad that that is the part that you like the most because that's how we connected. That's how Paranormal
Yeah.
Triage and Henry connected. We bought tickets to be part,
Yeah.
just to go as, spectators and go enjoy an OC Paracon. And it's kind of cool for me because I'm from Southern California, moved up here, so it's like going back to my old stomping grounds
I'm familiar.
and to go to a Paracon and then, we had bought tickets and stuff and you connected with us through that way and now here we are, so it's kind of like this whole journey and that's what this is about for everybody and that's really cool.
yeah. Well, wait, before you ask the next question, Kelly, Ryan, let me ask both of you guys since you said you're from over here from Southern California. Do you remember when you were younger, when you were here? Do you remember any Paracon happening over here?
No, I moved to Northern California in 1969, so I was like 7, and I didn't ever recall hearing anything about it before that. No.
Yeah, and I moved away like, early 2000s. So, I remember Comic-Cons coming, to like the Anaheim Convention Center.
Mm.
I've done the whole Disneyland thing growing up there and Knott's Scary Farm and stuff like that. The haunting, Scary Farm stuff at Universal Studios. But I don't remember ever any kind of Paracons down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of frustrating because we wanted to go to Paracons, but they were all back
Oh,
east or
Yeah.
Midwest or, 2,500 hours away from where we live. So when we came across your Paracon, we were stoked.
we were super excited. I mean, and there's some that are a little bit closer, Arizona, Nevada, and there's some people that are trying to put some stuff together, but it's not like what you're doing.
Yeah.
So we are
Yeah.
super excited, glad that you're putting this event together.
Yeah, no, I got that from the first in-person OC Paracom that all every single attendee came to me at the on the last day on because it was 3 days on Sunday. They all came to me at night to say bye, and every single one said thank you for doing this because you're right. They watch these shows too, and they got tired of having to fly all the way to the East Coast to meet Patty Negri when she's right in your backyard. Literally, she lives in lives in Hollywood too. So for most people, it's like an hour, maybe 30-minute drive. I mean, more. Maybe everything's an hour. In LA, warn everybody
Yeah.
in LA, everything is an hour.
Yeah.
But they like the fact that they didn't have to travel, halfway across the country or to another state to meet the people that they wanna meet in person and talk to. So yeah, I get that a lot. That they're glad that there is one that's closer to their home.
Yeah, and I feel like California has its own unique history. So, I mean, paranormal is paranormal, but I feel like California has some really unique history that nobody really knows about.
Yeah, a lot of people they understand, the East Coast because it's kind of like where the country started, and there's a lot of like
Yeah,
really old history there and cool history, Civil War battlefields, stuff like that. But people forget that, the West in California, that was like the gold rush, and a lot of crazy stuff history-wise happened on the
yeah.
West Coast, specifically California.
I mean, anybody that's going to OC Paracon, I'm gonna, and here's a tease for you three. I'm gonna bring this up, but yes, you're right. You're in gold country. And yeah, I don't know who said it or remember if we even know who said it, but whoever said money is the root of all evil. Yeah, I mean, this is gold, so you can
Oh
imagine
yeah,
how much greed and murder and lying, cheating, and
Yeah,
all that energy that it created around it. So that's why there are a lot of hauntings in gold country.
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So, where do you see OC Paracon going in the future? Like after this, you kind of mentioned that you were already starting to plan next year's. Where do you see this event going from here?
Well, I'll tell you three when the cameras are off, but I already have the location. It's a very unique location.
Okay.
It's different than anything we've done. It's even different than this location this year is different. The next year's location is I can almost hear attendees and speakers that will be there, and even if the speakers I have this year, if they go back again next year, even they will say, "This is perfect. This is you should have done this here every single year." I'll tell you guys when the cameras are off. I will, and for everybody else watching, that'll be a surprise for next year. But where I see it going is, I it is growing bigger, just organically. I knew it was gonna happen. By word of mouth, people telling like, "Hey, I went here, I went there. You got to go to this Paracon is really cool." Um, but I don't want it to get too big. I don't ever think it's gonna get to the size of a San Diego Comic Con. Nothing is that size, and honestly, I wouldn't want it to because I don't think I can control all
There
that.
would have to be like 500 of you, Henry.
Yeah.
So how many guests are you expecting around this year?
This year, little over 100 people, including the speakers and whatever teams they bring. In total, there will be like a little over 100 people total. Um, but like I said, for next year, I expect a lot of the same. I wasn't on purpose, like I mentioned earlier. This year, I have most of the lineup is all like you guys, paranormal triage, and there's other paranormal investigative teams. Each one is different. I didn't expect that. It wasn't until I started putting the website together that I realized, wait a minute, why do I have five five teams this year? It just happened that way. But next year, I will try not to repeat that. I try to make it as diverse as possible. Like I mentioned earlier, have one or two paranormal investigative teams, then have somebody talk about numerology, somebody talk about psychic mediums, that probably usually is Patty, and talk about cryptids, talk about something else completely different other than just paranormal investigative teams. There's nothing wrong with them, like I said. Everybody's different, so that they'll enjoy it. But I do want to diversify the speakers and what they talk about, because paranormal is not just about ghosts. There's other things that are also
Mhm.
part of the paranormal.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, when you look at the word paranormal, kind of where it comes from, you go back into kind of where we developed our language, right? You got Latin and Greek root words,
Yeah,
para meaning to the side of or next to, and then normal. So just a little bit off center
yeah.
from normal. That could be anything. Like you said, it could be Bigfoot, it could be, Loch Ness Monster, or it could UFOs or spirits.
Well, I keep saying since 2020, it's just right out the window. There's paranormal right there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you guys have anything other
Now, I was
crazy you
going
want
to
to ask?
ask you if you thought in the future this would become a 2-day event, but looking at your schedule, it's actually a 2-day event because you're doing everything. You're doing all your specials Friday night, I believe, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, that one's we were calling it OC Paracon Preview Night, and it used to be 3 days or 2 days, and then it went to 3 days, and then this year it's technically one day. The preview night is events, but they're events not. There's two that are happening at the actual location, but then there's some spread all over LA and some in Orange County. So and we did that on purpose because I wanted people to have a hard choice. Because it's unless you know how to clone yourself, it's impossible for you to do. You can't be at Patty's Seance and
Right.
do the haunted bus tour and be at the Omen House because they all pretty much start at the same time, around the same time. So,
Yeah.
like I said, unless you know how to clone yourself or you have clones, you got to pick one, and that was the
Yeah.
hard part, but in the fun way. So, and the actual Paracon is on Saturday.
Well, that's cool because it gives people something like a choice to pick from, and then a bunch of stuff to put on their bucket list for next time, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was the goal. I'll give everybody a little behind the scenes look. That was the goal, as the kids say, is to create some FOMO, fear of missing out.
Cool. Well, we're excited and we're glad that you invited us to come down, and
Yes.
we're looking forward to it. We're excited.
And tell us where can people find information about the event? Where can they find information about you and get involved with it?
Everything about the event, I'm not sure when this one's coming up, but the tickets may or may not be on sale by the time all of you are watching this. But everything for the event, ocparacon.com, and that same place is where you can get announcements for next year's. What I'm going to tell the three when we turn off the camera here, you might get it there first. Or if not there, paranormalperception.show. That's the weekly, every Friday new episodes. That's where you hear teams like Paranormal Triage and different guests. Not all ghost hunters. Sometimes it's ghosts. Sometimes it's UFOs. Sometimes it's something completely. Sometimes IRL and real life issues. Because I always say everything in life has a supernatural root. So that's why we do talk about real world issues on Paranormal Perception. It's not just ghost hunters. And every now and then we just have fun. Like October, Halloween, those are fun shows because it's all you guys, your ghost stories. If you listen to Paranormal Perception, you guys send in your ghost stories, then we get to hear them back. Either you make them up or talk about a scary experience that you guys had. We do the same thing for Christmas because Halloween's easy on a paranormal podcast. Christmas, I was thinking, how do you do spooky? Until I remembered back in the 1800s, Christmas was Halloween. That's where we got a Christmas Carol and all the scary stories we got back then. So I said, let's do Christmas the way it used to be, and we do it again. We tell scary stories. So paranormalperception.show is the website, and ocparacon.com for the event.
And then are you full for your online vendors? Or are you doing virtual vendors still?
Yeah, we're doing virtuals. And no, that's the beauty of being virtual. Usually we're limited to the size of the room. This
Okay.
time it's virtual. It's unlimited. Anybody that wants to do that, again, ocparacon.com, you can vend, quote unquote, vend virtually at this year's event.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on and having this discussion, talking about OC Paracon. We're super excited to go to the event, to meet everybody, talk to everybody. We're looking forward to it.
Now
Yeah.
you're making me think when I mentioned about my dad. He says I can't talk to him, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Mission accomplished. So yeah, and
That's
I'm
right.
glad you guys are going to be there
Yes.
too. Looking forward to it also. Thanks for having me.
All right.
All right, thanks,
All right,
Ed.
thanks.